right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Scripting the Book. This month, we decided that we're going to do A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. And I'm excited to dive in and talk about it. But first, I'm going to let my fantastic friends and co hosts introduce themselves. We'll start with Natalie and swing it right back around.
I was about to open my mouth and I was like, "You're on mute, honey." I am Natalie Locke, co-author of 1,000 Words to Get Started that will be released November 26th of this month. It's really cool because there's stickers in the back. But it's a writing prompt book, so prose not included. You have to write that in. And then we also have another book that I don't have with me called 1,000 Words to Ignite Romance that's coming out January 7th. Same premise. And otherwise, you can find me on YouTube with my co-author, switching between our channels, where we just live edit Flash, like first drafts of Flash publicly. And sometimes we'll draft publicly as well. Excellent. That's once a month. There. Okay, now I'm done.
And I'm Ben Pick. Every Monday night at now 6 p.m. Eastern time, I'm doing productivity sprints and write-alongs. I've changed things up a little bit, so no more questionable writing advice through running metaphors, at least for the season. And I also have a couple books behind me that that I have written, and I'm currently working on my fourth. And it's because I've fallen so far behind on my goals with that I'm switching things up and doing the write-alongs. So hopefully I'll see you tomorrow, and we can be let's start the week off right with writing.
Oh, yeah. The ride-alongs are a good idea. Hi, I'm Nita Vixen of Fiction. You are here on my channel. I write cozy fantasy and sci-fi under NV James. So if you're interested, you could check that out. I also stream on YouTube every Tuesday night at 7:30, and I'm also over on Twitch. So you can come hang out with me on Mondays and Fridays in the middle of the day if you want to write and get some things done. So, guys, we are going to talk about today Charles Dickens' classic Christmas Carol. So we're going to dive right in so that we don't keep everybody too long, but we can give you our thoughts because there's a lot to get to once we get to the adaptations, guys. We're going to start with, I know, Natalie's going to give us some stats on that when we get to the adaptations. So let's start with A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Anybody a dislike on this one? Neutral? Like? And a love? Yes. My like is highly pushing towards love. I really, really liked it. It is told in a way that I enjoy and appreciate storytelling. It's one of my, that kind of, you got the third person omniscient narrator, kind of like almost fairy tale, like telling you the story of Scrooge. And from start to beginning, I just really appreciate the way that he begins the story and the way that he weaves us through. I think he did a really good job. It's very close to a love for me, but it's a solid like.
Yeah, same. For me, it's the love is that I think for me, I can't think of anything wrong with it because I've just been exposed to it so much, so I can't be objective of it. It's like having watched The Painter paint Starry Night or something like that.
Yeah. How about you, Ben? Why are we like on this? A strong like, more neutral like?
I mean, it's more like a like. I mean, it's a fantastic story. It's enjoyable. It's just so, I mean, honestly, overdone at this point. I don't have a good way of seeing it. It's like, I guess with the Muppets, where I had never seen the Muppets Christmas special before, but I had already known like every single plot beat. Even the song at the end, I had somehow seen already, even though I know for a fact I've never seen the Muppets movie all the way through. But I have definitely seen the end of it, which is kind of weird, since I can't imagine me turning on the TV and just watching the last 5 minutes of a movie, but that must have been what happened at some point. And I mean, it's a good, so focusing on the OG story, it's a very good story. It's very well written. I don't know. I just feel like it's of its time, and it just stays alike for me. I don't really have a good emotional or a good logical reason for that short of emotions.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably similar to how I feel about him, which is weird because I do when it comes to Jane Austen and also with Louisa May Alcott, those stories I love those stories. I don't know if it's because I've read them so many times or there are parts of it, the characters that more resonate with me. So even though they're also classics, I do feel like for those ones in particular, they're more of a love for me. And with Dickens, Dickens is also a hit or miss for me, just because sometimes some of the stories that he's written, because they are of their time, they can drone on a bit in a way that was popular back then, but now we'd see it as there's a lot. You're just it's like a lot of feels like a lot of filler now. But it was they didn't have TV or anything back then. So all of these details were very important. They were sometimes describing things for people that you're in your remote little area. You're lucky if you get your hand on this book. So they're so dense. They're
That's fair.
with the emotions and the feelings, and then also describing everything. So they do sometimes, and it's also that narrator is telling you all of these things. So sometimes they do feel like, and sometimes the classics just do feel like you can tell they're written up up for a certain period of time for a certain people, and not necessarily for us, but we can still appreciate them. But I think one of the things that I loved about this book is this is how big it is. That's it. So
quick.
Yeah, what you're getting is the story, and the print's not even, I don't know if you can see, the print's not even small. That's it. That's all there is to the story. And I'm like, that's perfect. As far as size wise, there wasn't a whole lot of filler that didn't seem unnecessary. Yeah, so I don't know why it's not a love, but I really like the story. I really like it. But it doesn't speak to me maybe in the way that maybe some of other authors of the time did. But it's definitely,
and we've done that
enjoyable.
with other stories like Lord of the Rings and Dune. Like, they are zeitgeist of their period, and it just sometimes doesn't carry well unless you are into that.
Yeah.
Though I will say, Christmas Carol is easier to digest being a zeitgeist versus Dune or Lord of the Rings when it comes to size.
Definitely. So what do you guys think about what Dickens did with the characters? Are we happy with that? Because I'm feeling like, even though I can't really relate to these characters in that they're definitely in their period of time, I definitely reading it, I could definitely feel for the characters, and what Scrooge has been putting some of these, and just the meanness is just like, it really feels like you're unnecessarily mean, and I it's like maybe no. Come on, with the taking the time off and just rude to come on. He was the crotchety old man that can't get along with anybody because we don't know what the life story is of the everyday regular old crotchety person who just has a chip on their shoulder or is just very, very stingy. We don't necessarily get to know what they go through. So this is a way that he takes us through this person's life, and we see where he starts and how he's ended up where he is. And so he does it in a nice way that I think any reader of any age, I think even if you're reading this to a kid, they're definitely going to get it.
Yeah, it's the typical story of somebody who just works too hard at the cost of all their relationships.
Yeah. I guess that resonates.
Well, damn, now I feel personally attacked.
I know, it's like, wow.
Oh, don't worry. We'll just wait until we get I have a lot of thoughts.
When we get into the spoiler section.
Yes, bring it on.
Oh. It'll be more revealing than anything else.
Wait. Okay. If anybody's in chat or watching on the rewrite, I have an idea. Which three of us would be which ghost if we were the three ghosts.
Oh,
That's
interesting.
intriguing.
Mhm.
That is intriguing. Natalie, you got to put that on your community post for your YouTube community post.
Yes, I should.
That'd be fun. All right. So, would you recommend this book?
Oh yeah,
Definitely. I think
I mean, it's a classic for a reason.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those you could read to your kids. Make it a family tradition. It's not very long. Even listening to it on audio, there were options. Like there's so many options. I actually switched from the first narrator I was listening to, and I don't have my phone with me, so I can't say which narrator I switched to. But I think I switched to the one where it says in prose. I wish I could remember the narrator, but there was one I was listening to. I started listening to it, and I was like, I don't know. And then I switched to the next one, and I was like, even better. So I stuck with the second one. So there's even options if you want to listen to it on audio, or if it's something that you want to listen with your kids on audio. And I got it. I was on one of my apps, but I'm pretty sure you can find this one on YouTube if it's something that you want to like play for your kids or have on in the background while you're doing your decorating or baking or whatever it is that you want to be doing over the holidays. It's definitely good for that. Was it scary? Anybody? Any of it?
I know when I was a kid, not the Muppet one. I didn't read the book, but one of the movies was scary for me, and it was unfortunate because it was my dad's favorite movie, and that was the version we had to watch every Christmas, and I'm like,
Ooh, okay. I can't wait to get to it, and we'll find out. All right. So,
but book-wise, no.
Book-wise, no. Yeah, I think it's too late for it to scare me because I've seen probably about 5 renditions of it by now, and anything that would be scary, I already knew it coming in. So, but yeah, it's definitely something I would recommend. It's something that not very big, could go on your holiday reading, and I think kids would get it. So we're going to go with our thoughts on the 1984 movie first. So let's go to who is anybody on? So everybody watched the 1984 one, right? We all remember. Okay. So that
This
was
is
the George C. Scott. Yeah. So anybody a dislike on this one? A neutral on this one? A like on this one? I'm a neutral to like on this one. So no loves for the George C. Scott version. All right. So what are our thoughts on the 1984 version of the movie? I will say that this is the one that I remember the most. It came out when I was a kid. So it was new when I was a kid. You guys are a little bit younger than me. So so this came out when I was a kid, and it's the one that I don't remember if it was playing on HBO or Cinemax when we got cable, but it's the one that I remember seeing the most. Now I had seen one of the older ones, but they didn't resonate with me. I don't know why, but this one was pretty popular when it came out. And I thought it was good. I thought, oh, this is it at the time, especially it was what I imagined that A Christmas Carol should be. So how about you guys? Why are we neutrals and likes on it? Neutral likes.
Ben, you first.
Oh, I mean, simple. So it's the exact same story, but again, you showed how thin that book is, and this movie was an hour and 40 minutes. Like, there's no reason. Shave off 10 minutes, shave off 15 minutes, and it would have been perfect. But yeah, it is just a little bit too long in getting to where it needs to go. It's got everything in there. It's got everything that you want. It's got fantastic acting. It just, the length of it kind of threw me off a little.
Yeah.
The cinematography, it was really dark, and FX's Christmas Carol that came out in 2019, I think, has this dark, and it went even darker actually, and embellished a lot more. But not to touch on other ones, but the darkness of this one, really got to me. And then of course it has, I mean, when I was a kid, the 80s look, especially that almost like as if they had frost on it, like an iridescent look to it a little bit with the lighting. I never really liked that as a kid. It always let me know, oh, this is old. It's like when we did the original Narnia, it's kind of that same filmography. But it for me, it was scary. Like when the little kids pop out and it's ignorance and want,
Oh yeah.
stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, I was freaked out a little bit. And as well, of course, Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm gonna put it in the market of it's probably good, but just like Nickelback, for me, it was overplayed.
Yeah. Let me see. Oh, we do have some friends. Hi to Laura and Richard and Esther. Hey guys. So if you guys have any comments, if you've seen any of these versions of the movies and you want me to put your comment up, make sure you make those comments so I can grab them. And here Richard says the length of it threw me off a little. LOL to Ben. Okay, Richard. Haha. All right. Oh, look, we also have here Nia's Christmas present, Natalie's Christmas past, and Bennett's Christmas future. Okay, and I will say Christmas future, this one was also scary to me. So, and I don't remember how I reacted to the older ones that I'd probably seen when I was very, very little. The way that Ben said he hadn't really seen the Muppet one, but he knows that he's seen parts of it and not sure why. That's how I was with any of the older ones. So this is the first one that I really remembered sitting down watching from beginning to end. Speaking of the ghosts, the Christmas so the first ghost, Christmas Past, that was
technically the first ghost is Bob Marley.
Yeah, Bob Marley. That's why I paused a little bit.
Sorry, I'm going into the Muppets a little bit because they made
I always want to say
Robert Bob, and I was like, is that a nod?
Yeah, that's why I paused a little bit. I'm like, do I call? So I guess they'd be more the spirits.
Hey, our banner says Pet Cemetery.
Oh wow, it did not change.
You clicked off before saving.
Oh no, I do that all the time. That's okay. Let me.
Now we're comparing the book to the 1984 movie, right?
Yeah, let's go. We'll just use this banner since my other one didn't save. We'll scooch that down there. All right. So yeah. Let's go in with our best and worst changes for the 1984 movie. I liked the way, so Dickens is narrating the book in the book. And so we start out with some narration, but then throughout the movie, a lot of that narration that would be Charles Dickens is actually said by George C. Scott as Scrooge. So, and he says it almost like he's just speaking out loud, talking to himself. So it blended really well so that we don't miss. I don't feel like we missed any of the narration. And I don't think I realized until I read the book that, oh, those weren't actually Scrooge's lines. Yeah. Those were either internal thoughts or something that Dickens was relaying to us. And he would just say it like a thought out loud to himself. So I felt like that was actually a good way to get that across, that I hadn't even realized was something that was happening until I read the book and was like, oh, those weren't his lines. Those were actually Dickens lines, or just, parts of the story that Dickens had written down, and he was able to get those across to us by making that part of his dialogue. So I thought that was a good change, an interesting way to do that. Anybody else got
I
any?
couldn't remember if this was in the book or not, but the scene where the nephew is having the party and they're playing the games. What I liked about the George C. Scott version, if I remember correctly, they're kind of blurring together in my head, is that the game was like taking cliches and someone had to finish the cliche.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that became the joke for Ebenezer Scrooge was instead of tight as a drum, it was tight as Ebenezer's purse strings. And that's what everyone laughed about. And it wasn't as big of a in your face moment. It was kind of like, haha, that's funny. But the answer was tight as a drum. You're wrong. And then moving on. Whereas if it, other things, and I want to say in the book, it was where they were playing Guess the Person.
Well, it was like 20 questions and it was
Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, that makes it more of a punchline and more like on purpose being mean. Whereas the other one was like, I can't think of the word drum, but this popped into my head. I'm going to say it. And so it didn't seem as malicious. And so I kind of like that it was kind of a just side comment situation instead of a build up
Deliberate
to him being the full punchline.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't actually really have any changes with the 1984 version because it was so closely aligned that the differences were minimal. Like you said, the difference between the physical appearance of the Ghost of Christmas Past, I mean, it like that didn't really throw me off at any point. So it was basically just, honestly, this is one of the closest representations we've had of a book to movie since we've started.
It helps when the book's short.
Yeah.
They added a lot of their stuff in, but honestly, even adding in certain things, I wasn't.
Yeah.
It didn't throw me. It didn't throw me off. My only issue with it is that I was a kid and it scared me, just like when I was a kid, Jaws scared me. Like, I mean, yeah, it's just a certain time period that I experienced it, and it kind of sullied it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, having the nephew's party last a little bit longer was kind of fun, sure. But I didn't really notice, like I said, I didn't notice any best and worst changes because it felt so aligned with the book.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, there weren't a lot of changes. It's just that the little subtle things that you'll pick up, and that just happened to be one of them that I noticed right away, just because of the way that the story starts off. And yeah, it's like literally it starts the same way. So yeah, it's a very closely done, at least the 1984 one, very closely done adaptation. All right. Any other thoughts before we move on to the next one we're going to talk about is the Muppet Christmas Carol. Any other thoughts on this one before we move on to the others? We're good. All right, I'm checking the comments really.
I'm ready. Yeah, we haven't had much comments other than Ben and Richard going back and forth.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. All right, so moving on, we're going to talk about, and I should have put in a Muppet Christmas Carol, but this one is for specifically 1992, a Muppet Christmas Carol. Anybody a dislike on this one? A neutral on this one? A like on this one? And a love on this one? Yes.
Is this the first?
No, we've had plenty of those.
I feel like there was one other that we did we'll get it on the wrap up.
Yeah, I'm doing all the averages. I have it all.
All right. We're not going to tease it. Well, we're going to tease it, but we're not going to disclose whether this was the first time or not.
Yeah, and so
for next month on that one.
Just so you know, today I'm doing an average of all of our likes, dislikes for the different iterations. So that will throw this slightly skewed.
All right, so guys,
I love it.
Stay tuned. December, before the new year, we're gonna wrap up our last 2 years of doing scripting the book, where we're gonna figure out where we all stand. Who does the most likes? Who does the most dislikes? What movie did we like the most? What book did we like the most?
Collectively,
so we're gonna do our stats. So we're going to be
it's gonna be fun.
ranking
We
our
like
adaptations.
spreadsheets and data.
And we'll see have our thoughts and feelings changed on anything.
Oh,
So
that'd be good.
stay tuned for that in
So-
December. It'll be a lot of fun.
We digress. Okay, so we love the movie.
Yes.
And everything. I'll kick it off. So the reason I love this movie is, of course, ideal time period. I was the market audience when it came out. And it's kind of just it's grown with me over the years, because every time I watch it, I catch things, because it's not an every year thing for me. It's just every few years. But even rewatching it for this, I totally was laughing at the jokes, and I'm like, did I catch that as a kid and stuff? So it was it's something new every time for me, and has strong nostalgia feelings.
Yes. I will say for me, this one also very strong nostalgia feelings. This one came out, I was in high school when this one came out. However, I was heavily in my musical, and I love musicals, love plays era. And so this resonated with me. I absolutely loved it. The songs literally live rent free in my head at the holiday time. I know all of the songs. I love this one so much because even though it's Muppets, it's almost like they're not Muppets, but you know that they are. They were acting, which is brilliant. And
well, even the opening credits, it said Kermit the Frog as Bob Cratchit, and I'm like,
yeah,
the person behind, but they kept that veil there.
Yes, they really did. And the only one that played themselves was Rizzo the Rat, and it said Rizzo the Rat as themselves. And I thought and it was wonderful. It was perfect because Rizzo was very much Rizzo throughout the whole movie. And I had the pleasure of rewatching this past week with some of our AuthorTube friends, our YouTube friends here. And for one of them, it was their first time seeing it, and they really liked it. And I was like, yay. So it was a lot of fun to be able to do this one with a watch party. And even though we each had ourselves muted, we were all like, you could see when the songs came on, we were all like singing along. And it was very, it is that kind of movie. It is just a lot of fun. I don't play this one every year, but probably every other year, if I put it on while we're doing things around the house, there's got to be some point where everybody just has to go in the living room and we're just stopping or watching or just listening to it. So it's one of those, I know my kids all know it because it's one of my favorites. So it's one, my husband likes It's a Wonderful Life, and for me, this one's mine. And so the kids know them very, very well. And it is just really well acted, well performed. The set design, I love it because it is that old English village, but it's got that slight wonkiness that you would expect the buildings to have on a Muppet set. But it's like it's supposed to be that way. Like, it's hard to explain. Like this is for them, this is really what it looks like. It wasn't campy or played up in any way. It's like, oh no, this is just the way it's supposed to be. So it's just, this was so well done. Like, bravo, Jim Henson.
Actually, this was the first movie after Jim Henson's death. Because he died in 1990, and so his son Brian Henson. This was his first directorial debut, as well as first time being lead puppeteer.
Nice. He did his dad proud. This was wonderful. Yeah. Anybody else thoughts on?
I completely agree with everything you all said, and this is one of the movies where I'd never seen it before, and so there's no nostalgia for me, unlike with the two of you, and it is just objectively a fantastic movie. Like, Michael Caine and Tim Curry are two people who I would just it doesn't matter what it is, just give them, ad lib, tell them to ad lib for an hour and a half with Muppets and just see what happens, and it would be fantastic. So that brings me up a note of, at some point we do need to throw an Audible into this group, and we do need to do like Treasure Island and get everything in there. We can do Treasure Planet. We can do
100% on that one. Because when I was looking up this one, I was like, oh, that's right, Tim Curry Treasure Island movie with the Muppets.
Yes.
I haven't seen that movie yet, so that's something that I can do. And I'm going to read my notes exactly as I have written there. So it's, wow, I didn't expect Muppets to go that dark so early, because "Help, I'm Being Stolen" is a line in a Muppets movie. And yeah,
The 90s were wild, man.
Yeah.
Well,
it was.
with a line like that, my actual note was, I can see how this is like the founding of, or the origins of Farscape, which is,
yes,
it's Jim Henson Muppets, but and I couldn't remember the name of Farscape, so I just typed in some NSFW words and added Muppets to it, and that's how I got to Farscape, because it is a very odd show that managed to be on network television.
Yes. Yeah. I enjoyed Farscape very much.
It's fun. It's
oh my
amazing.
gosh.
But just those costumes alone. Let's just say I had to include a word that started with B. And that was how I found Farscape. And you all know what word I'm thinking of too.
Oh goodness.
I'll put it in the private chat so nobody has to see it. Just nod your head if that's the word you were thinking of.
That makes sense. And if you're watching and you want to know what it is, just think of
50 Shades.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, think 50 Shades. Things that are forced together,
constricted or binding. Yeah. There we go.
Binding,
that's very close to the word I was thinking of. Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, anyway, sorry. Back to bring this back on track. Muppets Christmas Carol was fantastic. And it was really intriguing too, because they started with who was it? Was it Gonzo? Who was talking about how it was like they were in the story that they were also telling. So that was kind of a weird way, but to tell a story, but it worked, because they're like, oh, this is the famous story of Christmas Carol, but they're also active participants in it.
Yes. So they're in the background, things are going on. They're like, sometimes they're literally hiding. So you'll see things like I got my Groot here. So they'll be like a Groot just hiding in the background watching the story play out. So it's very, very cleverly done. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes they're literally being dragged along. So poor Rizzo went through some things with some of these ghosts traveling, because they're traveling. You actually get to see them like traveling through time, or these different things. So they're like getting beat up, so that the levity is there where it's gonna get heavy. So especially like we're going to the past, and it gets pretty heavy.
Rizzo was placed there for that spot specifically for comedic relief.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I think it was needed. We get to the part at the end, and it's like Rizzo is the warning, because Rizzo and Gonzo are like, okay, this is going to get scary. Which is almost like a warning to parents to, like, hey, this is the part, because I remember back with the 1984 version, this is the part that kind of scared me, because that Ghost of Christmas Past is kind of scary in the 1984. The Ghost of Christmas Past in this one and I talked about this with my friends when we did our watch party, with the empty face. And I said, the arms are still they give me the creeps. They're uncomfortably long. It's just, I'm like, no. Mm-mm. And they're like, yes, uncomfortably long is such I'm like, it's just no. So, this is the part where it does get a little, if you have little kids and they're going to get scared by any of it, this is probably the part that's going to do it. So it's nice to have, you're watching a Muppet show, basically you're having fun. It's nice to get that little warning that, okay, it's going to get a little scary now, because they're like, we're going to see you back after this one. And Rizzo and Gonzo are out. They're like, we're out on this one. We can't watch this part. I feel like that's a really nice way to do that.
It's kind of a cue to give the kids an out if they're like, I'm out too, or something,
Yeah.
you know.
Or if you need to sit on mom or dad's lap, you know, during this part, or hold a hand, or
reminds me when Zoe was like 4 years old, we watched the movie Paranorman, meant for kids, and we have a picture of Zoe with the covers right here the whole time, just watching the movie. It's okay.
Yeah, it is. Yes, Esther was asleep for the watch party. We're so sorry. Yeah,
I didn't even catch that we were having one. I've traveled 4 times so far in the past month and a half. So I don't know what I was doing.
Yeah, we were backstage, and I was gonna leave the backstage because I was like, oh, I really need to watch the Muppet Christmas Carol. And they were all like, what? Wait, I want to watch. So we're like, okay. So that's why we decided. But next time I do one, I will announce so that everybody can, if they want to be available to watch, they can. Because that one was like literally last minute impromptu. I was just gonna go watch it by myself because I was excited. I'm like, y'all, I'm out. I'm getting ready to go watch the Muppet Christmas, and they're like, wait, what do you want to see? And then we were with Morgan, and Morgan actually hadn't seen it before, so it was very, very cool.
I love it when you can expose people to stuff, and you get to like get the sense of wonder and newness through their eyes. Like, it's so exciting.
Yeah.
If y'all are ready, I got some facts about this particular movie.
All right, let's go. Because I've got a couple too, and probably not as many as Natalie. Natalie is our resident, like, get all the back information. I have a little bit
behind the scenes story.
Yes.
So up to this point, Sir Michael Caine, even though Muppet's based in UK, he had never worked with it. Like, he went to the States in the 70s for tax reasons because he didn't like the British taxes. And he went to the States and moved there. So he missed out on being an extra on the Muppet Show. I say extra like he wouldn't be the center of attention. And also, all his movies up to that point, his kids couldn't watch. And he had a 7-year-old daughter. And so when he had the chance to go for the Muppet movie, that's when he jumped on it, because he wanted a movie that his daughter could watch. And when he was talking to Brian Henson, Michael Caine told him, hey, I'm going to act like I'm working with the Royal Shakespeare Company. I'm never going to wink. I'm not going to do anything Muppety. I'm going to play Scrooge as utterly dramatic as possible. And I feel like it makes it better, honestly.
Can I insert right here?
Yeah.
As we were watching during our watch party, that is a comment everyone made, is that he's not acting like he's acting with puppets. He is acting like he's acting with actors, which made every Muppet made their acting seem that much more real.
Mm-hmm. And actually, Michael Caine, the inspiration that he got for Scrooge, keep in mind it came out in 92, is Wall Street brokers and such, because he felt that was the epitome of greed, which makes me want to double check when the movie American Psycho came out.
Oh, that's much later.
Oh, okay.
That's like 98, 99, I think.
All right, that sounds about right. Then, yeah, because that's right. There's a few actresses that I remember being in there. Then there was
2000. Sorry.
Wow, I was way off. Okay, but I know that there was a lot of things with Wall Street that stood out in that time. He couldn't sing. He's never done it before, but actually they loved it all the more because Scrooge character wouldn't be a professional Broadway singer. So they kind of just ran into it and was like, no, don't even try to practice.
Yeah, just do it like you would do it.
They actually thought about redoing the casting, where they were going to have Gonzo be like the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come, Miss Piggy as the Ghost of Christmas Present, and then Robin the Frog, who is actually Kermit the Frog's nephew. He was going to be Ghost of Christmas Past, him or Scooter, which, by the way, you will notice Scooter is nowhere in the film. He ended up getting scrapped. They ended up making brand new puppets just for past, present, and future, which is funny because I could have sworn I've seen the Ghost of Christmas Present in like Fraggle Rock or something, but
Yeah.
it wasn't. Which, speaking of Fraggle Rock, at the opening credits, you'll see the dog from Fraggle Rock poke his head out of one of the windows.
Yes.
But they decided to change it up and create new ghosts for them, and then they decided actually at that moment when they were changing up is when they created the character Charles Dickens to get his prose into the film, and that's when they moved Gonzo for this created character, even though it's a real person also. And about 95% of what Gonzo says is directly pulled from the book. All right. And then, of course, Rizzo is for levity. Already covered that. One of the biggest things that with the changes is that they did not have, they ended up, I thought Robert Marley, the brother of Jacob Marley, I thought that was a created character, but apparently the book mentions a Robert at some point, like actually related. But nobody has come from the film saying that the nickname Bob Marley is a nod to the singer. And in the Ghost of Christmas Past, they tried to film her in pool of baby oil to get the ethereal floating look. Ended up having to switch it to water, and they had to move quickly because the water would break down the paint and stuff on the Muppet. So they were able to get their shots, and then they transposed her via green screen onto the film.
I was wondering how they got that look for that Muppet. Very interesting.
Yep. And then at the final scene, that there is a nod to Michael Caine's real name, which I didn't know that wasn't Michael Caine's real name. But Micklewhite was his last name before he became Michael Caine. And there is a shop header that says Micklewhite's behind him as he's singing at the very end.
Oh, that's so fun. Very cool.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much this. Wait, last one. Rizzo in the credits. Rizzo has a, it says Rizzo's personal caterer among the rest of the cast and crew, who is Mark McAniff, who got credited for that, but personal creator or caterer. God.
Very cool.
Okay, I'm done.
I love that. All right, so let's do. Might as well. Oh, you know what? I'm on comments. I'm gonna go to banners. What for the 1992 version of Muppet Christmas Carol? Best and worst changes. I don't have any worst, but I just love that it's Muppets and the music. Yeah. The music was the best.
The song that Michael Caine sings with the girl, that was actually cut in the original release because there was not enough Muppets in it, and they felt it dragged down the movie and that kids wouldn't be engaged during that part. So they cut it in the theatrical release, but it was later added in. And actually the original story of it was original master. Sorry, Spencer came in and was asking to call my mother his grandmother, but I was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. But the master clip of it, the master recording, was missing. And they wanted to put it back in the film, and it wasn't found until 2020. So
really?
Yeah, but it was released, copies of it, of course, were released for like home releases, made for TV releases and such like that.
Yeah.
But
I didn't even know that the original song wasn't in the theatrical, because by the time I saw it, which was, I guess the following Christmas. Again, I was in high school. And the song was there. So I didn't even notice until we were rewatched. I was like, wait, where is the song? I love that song. And then we were looking it up, and it's like there were various things between someone said that the timing, and then with kids getting antsy, that they really felt that the kids, for various reasons, were getting antsy. Sometimes they thought it was dragging it down too much. Kids weren't very comfortable with it. And I'm like, I love that song. But I was also in high school.
Yeah.
So I wasn't a young kid. But then I did think it was probably incredibly sad for some reason. So maybe
because we're talking, she's singing by herself in her mind. She doesn't know Michael Caine's singing with her as an older, wiser person who is full of regret at this point. I will say the Muppet Christmas Carol, one of the things that I did like is that they cut Fred's mother passing away, Scrooge's sister. Yeah. I'm kind of glad they did that. That would have definitely darkened it for a children's film, and no need to bring it up because you can have her show up in the past and then just don't mention anything about the future.
Yeah. How about you, Ben?
Yeah, I have no changes. I mean, there's a couple of small things here and there. Like they had 2 associates instead of just 1, but like every change in here was minimal. Like you said. I mean,
I thought casting was great. I wouldn't have changed a thing.
Exactly. Like this is the definitive version of Christmas Carol. It cut that 15 minutes right out, and they still added in songs, which just made everything flow so perfectly. Spacing.
Yeah, Marley and Marley were great. As someone who was a small child growing up watching the Muppets Christmas Carol, it was perfect to have them both.
I loved it. Like the fact that they had both of them. I thought that made it better because they're such characters.
Yep. So no complaints. Any changes, I'm like, go for it. I mean, you're already making the cast Muppets, so
yeah. I was laughing so hard. And Michael Caine, he kept on. They had to do a lot of retakes because, especially during the scene in his business, all the rats scribbling. He would say, whenever my back was turned, they would be moving and scurrying and doing something. But when I look back, they were back to writing like they were supposed to. And he it would be very difficult for him to keep a straight face. And that was usually why they had to do retakes, is because he kept on breaking character, trying to be serious the whole time.
Oh, could you imagine? I would love that. Like, to be that deep in the workings of how a Muppet production is created, and to be the main actor, that would be just incredible.
We're like on elevated platforms a little bit, like waist or knee high, waist high, or whatever. And so if you were a human walking around, you had to be careful how you were walking through. And that scene where the full scene of Kermit carrying Tiny Tim on his shoulder and walking up, and you see his whole body. That was the first time that was filmed. That was like the most expensive scene. And the way they did it is they took a snow-covered barrel to look like the ground and rotated that barrel. And it took 10 puppeteers to make it work, and then over a green screen, and then block them out.
I love that. The dedication.
It's the same thing with what was it? Robin Williams and Elmo. There's just this blooper reel of them going on for about a minute and a half, and both like Robin Williams is so funny that he's making the actor playing Elmo just break character because they're laughing too hard.
That was Robin Williams. Just about anything he played, he would just like, if they, I want to say in his, if it wasn't in his contract to give him like at least X amount of minutes of free reign, it should have been.
Yeah, I think there's like 1 or 2 NSFW jokes in there, so I put them in the private chat as well.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. Just in case. Just because it's Elmo doesn't mean it's good.
That's true.
Well, safe, not it's good.
Safe. It's Elmo.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, Muppet Christmas Carol, it's a staple. I'm actually probably going to have my family watch it. As well as now I kind of want to watch every rendition, like even the Jim Carrey version and stuff like that.
Wait,
yeah.
Jim Carrey did a
Are we
Christmas
going to
Carol?
open it up to
Yes,
the
there's
other
a Jim-
versions?
Yes, we're gonna move on to those now. Yes, there is a Jim Carrey version. It's kind of animated-ish.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I do.
CGI.
I do have a vague-
Yeah.
Where Jim Carrey. So this is, remember when we did the Polar Express and Tom Hanks was playing almost every role? Kind of the same thing with Jim Carrey, where he was playing almost every single role.
All
And
right. So, which one do we want to talk about first?
well, there's so many. Okay, y'all ready for the stats of how many?
Okay,
This is,
we're ready.
according to Wikipedia, this is including radio, plays, podcast, film adaptations, show adaptations, and even the like where it's slightly hinted, but maybe like names are completely changed entirely, but it's still the same premise of you got ghosts visiting you to tell you to act right, and then you come to it. According to Wikipedia, it's 392 adaptations. I have a Christmas.
Is that a
trivia
record?
book.
Is that a record for
It is.
something?
I was going to say I have a Christmas trivia book that says A Christmas Carol is the most, not just Christmas adaptations, but any adaptations. I mean, we're talking more than like some of the
Dracula and all the whatever freeware is.
yeah, we're
When the
like
copyright
all the
runs out,
fairy
what's the
tales that
term
we
for that?
grew up, the nursery rhymes and everything. This has more adaptations than any of those ever. And it just keeps growing because we every few years or so we decide to do another one, which is fine. But I mean, when I was going through the list, it even got a touch of that show Pepper Ann and everything. Apparently, they did a rendition at one point. It covered
Doctor Who.
Yeah, the Doctor Who. I saw that one pop up. Family Guy did one. Like, if anyone post in chat what they think would be on this list, I can guarantee you it probably is. I wonder if I still have. Oh no, I copy and paste all the.
So you're looking at Wikipedia?
Yeah, it was Wikipedia. It's I'll post the link to it. But and they do have it set up of like by animated, by show, and then it spans the years. Adaptations. Trying to get to the exact one that I was in. Yep. Adaptations of A Christmas Carol. Copy paste. Ooh. There you are, mouse.
Huh.
Okay. So it's just a fun little memory lane thing because you probably saw a show at one point and it worked. Oh, I just remembered, by the way, the movie for Muppet Christmas Carol, two things. One is that the songs there's on the soundtrack, there's like 3 songs that were not included in the movie at all before. They didn't even film the scenes. They like recorded the songs ahead of time and then started filming and realized they were going to have to cut a few. So the soundtrack has them, but it's not in the movie and it wasn't added value. Then there was another one. Yeah, there's plenty of quotes from that movie.
Yeah.
That's all I can think of. I'm trying to think. There's more trivia. I got it all. It'll come to me later. Oh yeah, Xena Warrior Princess was on there. Yeah.
Yep.
I know. I was like, I totally forgot about so many things.
Yeah. I'm wondering because I remember seeing bits and pieces of A Christmas Carol when I was much younger, before the 1984 version, and I'm like, I wonder if they were the same one, or if I had just conflated them in my mind for the older versions, where it didn't even register that they would have been different versions at that age,
Yeah.
as a little kid, before the George C. Scott one came out. But I remember them being just something that, because they would play Christmas shows, would just come on TV once December, rolled around. And so I don't think I ever fully watched one all the way through, where I sat down and paid attention, until the 1984 one. And then of course the Muppet one came out when I was in high school, and that just became, that was it. That was it for me. But I did see other versions. The one with the Donald Duck version, the Disney's Donald Duck version. That was a lot of fun.
Mickey's
and then
or something like that.
Yeah, and
there's I just saw one come up on the screen. Apparently, you know how there is adult parodies of shows. There's one of this as well.
Well,
the fact that it's on this list lets me know that this list is probably pretty precise on how.
Yeah.
Like if there are any out there that's not on this list, I'll be surprised if the fact that it would include something like that.
Yeah. I did see one version that was new, maybe a couple of years ago, and it went really dark with some of the themes of particularly with the way that Scrooge had some interactions with
Richard, you're horrible.
Okay. All right, Richard.
We're good. Moving on.
Yeah. Some of their interpretations of the hardships that Scrooge put the people that he interacted through. I was like,
and that FX special covered it as well. So I believe Joe Alwyn is Bob Cratchit. I couldn't confirm, but it looks like him. And then Scrooge is played by the guy, I can't remember the actor's name, but you remember the movie The Time Machine, where it's like Victorian and his fiance dies, and he creates a time machine, goes back in time, trying to.
Yeah, he's the guy from Iron Man 3.
And it goes way into the future.
That's
yeah, you'll find the name. I know in like 2 seconds.
Pierce.
Something. That movie, the first 40 minutes, the ghosts haven't even come yet. It's all about how much of a workaholic, mean person Scrooge is. Like, even the type of boss he is to Bob, just the whole thing. Like, they really dig it in. And I found that quite interesge.
Guy Pearce, by the way.
What do you think when they do that? When they embellish on Scrooge's character or on any of their characters to give you more information of, especially the period leading up to this Christmas Eve. Like, are you cool with the liberties that they take in some of these adaptations?
As long as they don't make it seem like Ebenezer has a secret, like, sweet nature somewhere to like to a kitten or something like that, even something that's small, as long as they aren't trying to make him nice in any way, I'm actually kind of fine with it. I feel like if they made him even the tiniest bit nice, like, he's the guy that I would expect if he dropped a penny, he would snatch it up before anyone would notice. Or if he's eating crumpet or something and a crumb falls down, he's picking it up, because no, he's not going to let anyone think that he's sharing. and so as long as they don't make it seem like he's being nice, then I feel like it's not liberty, it's more of just further exploration type thing.
All right, great job, guys. So there's not really any best or worst changes we can do with that one. I will ask, are there any of the other adaptations that you've seen that you recommend, either for adults or for children or for whole family?
The Jim Carrey version, I think, is really good. Mickey Mouse Christmas, where Scrooge McDuck is Scrooge, and the fact that the name, it just makes it even better. Which actually, that came out in 1983, by the way, so before the George C. Scott version. Oh my God, they even have a Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol. I totally forgot about Mr. Magoo. A Flintstones Christmas Carol, Brer Rabbit.
Wow.
All right, sorry. But those are really great, and I think I'm just a stickler for the kid ones, just because it is supposed to be a good nature ending, and that's usually targeted towards kids. Whereas some of the darker ones, like the one on FX, if you're into dark stuff, cool. Mm-hmm. But there is a happy ending, but it's still got this dark loom over it. And I'm like, I have the guy buy a feast, please. Like, can we just keep going?
Yeah. I agree. I like the Mickey Mouse version. I didn't see it as much, which I don't know why. Didn't see it as much growing up, but I didn't know of that one as well. When's the first time I saw that one fully through?
Mm-hmm. Ooh, All Dogs Go to Heaven Christmas Carol. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah. Oh, that was
Charlie.
Also, the Doctor Who. So there's apparently 2 Doctor Who special or episodes about Christmas Carol, but the second one, the one with the 11th Doctor, is fantastic. So there are 4 different episodes that I would describe as like the quintessential episodes to get somebody hooked into Doctor Who. The first one is obviously everybody's favorite, Blank. The second one is a 2-parter, The Science in the Library, which you can watch, and then watch a whole bunch, like the whole couple of seasons afterwards, and then come back to watch that, and you will bawl like a little baby. And then the I guess the third, or technically 4th episode, if you include the 2-parter, is this one where it's A Christmas Carol with the 11th Doctor, and it is fantastic from start to finish. It is such a self-contained episode, and yet there's other stuff going on, and it shows some of the companions on their wedding anniversary and all this other stuff, but you can pick up Doctor Who from that moment and just know exactly what the show is. And it's got one of the best lines in the entire series, where it is the Doctor, he's got like this paper that can have whatever whatever he wants written on. It's called psychic paper.
Whatever he wants anyone to see.
Exactly. So it's usually like, hey, I'm an FBI investigator, hey, I'm a detective, blah, blah, whatever. And so he goes to the young version of Scrooge, and he says, hey, the kid's like questioning him because he just suddenly appears out there and he's here to help. And the kid looks at me, he's like, are you really a babysitter? And the Doctor goes, the line is, I think you'll find I'm universally recognized as a mature and responsible adult. And then young Scrooge says, all I see are a bunch of squiggly lines. And the Doctor looks at that, goes, and he goes like, huh, finally, that's a lie that's too big. It shorted out the psychic paper. That he's a responsible adult.
Yep. It's like, nope, we can't go there.
Ben, I think that's the first time you've been positively passionate.
That's because when we get into some, depending on how we want to finish this episode, we can get into some negative thoughts, wherein I am Scrooge.
Oh my gosh. There was something that came up here that made me, God, these animals, they're always around me. They're my shadows. I lost my train of thought thanks to the dogs, because I was looking at something on here and I wanted to share it, but I forget. So moving on.
Yeah. Then I will second what Ben said. The 11th Doctor episode with of A Christmas Carol, excellent. I will be watching that one this holiday season. It's one of my favorites. All right, let us go to our final thoughts on A Christmas Carol. Let's see if Natalie can remember her train of thought before we end it.
In short, I mean, if you happen to have not been exposed to the book or the films somehow, honestly, or shows or whatever, honestly, I would say still watch a show, watch a film first, and then find your favorite there, and then read the book, because then it's going to help pull away from that zeitgeist that it is, that of the Victorian. I mean, it came out in 1884, if I remember correctly, or something like that. So it's it's got some vibes in it that if you're not familiar, no, Ben, that if
Uh-oh,
you're
we
not
lost
familiar
someone.
with it, it's going to be hard. It might be a hard read if you're not normally a historical reader. So that would be my advice: is pick. You got plenty to pick from. You're gonna find something you like, I'm sure, and everything. They even classify "It's a Wonderful Life" as Charles Dickens is credited at the beginning of it, even though it's not Three Ghost. Yeah, you're back.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my final thoughts: is find your adaptation, then read the story.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I will say definitely give one of the audio narrations a try if you think that reading it. Some of the paragraphs are very long,
Mm-hmm.
oddly long paragraphs. So
Tim
again,
Curry did a
probably
narration. Patrick
Mhm.
Stewart has done a narration. Sorry, Sir
Yes,
Patrick Stewart.
for Patrick Stewart.
I'm giving them their credit. And Sir Michael Caine, they are my favorite people. Oh, interestingly enough, George Carlin was almost considered for Scrooge.
Oh,
Yeah, they had a few names on the list, and I was surprised by George Carlin because I like the most serious he's ever been was the conductor on God, what show was that? A little kid show and stuff. But either way,
I
otherwise
know
he's
what
not
you're talking
serious.
about. For some reason now I can't think of what it is, but yes.
I'll find that in a little bit. But okay, those final thoughts done.
Yeah. Give the audio narration a try if you're interested in reading it, how Dickens laid it out, but you maybe not wanting to actually visually read something from that time period. But it's definitely worth a read. I think it's a good read. I liked it. Ben, your final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there are hundreds of adaptations, so you can really do your choose your own adventure to find exactly what you want. Right at the top of the list, go for Muppets, Muppets Christmas Carol, Doctor Who had a fantastic adaptation. Apparently, there's a Mega Man video game that includes this. I can go on a slightly negative rant here then. So, like I said, I am definitely a Scrooge, not with the work thing, not with the money thing, but just in general mindset. I met quite a few neighbors recently over Halloween, and my wife described me perfectly as saying I'm driven by bitterness and anger. So, well, because every single neighbor to a T come up and they all thank me. So there's that. And then my wife was like, no, he doesn't do it to be a good person. He does it because he's driven by bitterness and anger. So there's that. But yeah, that was fun. There was definitely somebody this morning when I was cleaning up trash who had empty containers outside their car, and they were in the driver's seat with a running vehicle. Always fun. So,
but I believe that Scrooge believes he was right. So
I absolutely, I believe I'm right too.
There you go. Were you wrong though?
I should have called the cops. That would have helped.
Okay, maybe. So yeah, it could have been worse. Yeah. I would hope I am not a Scrooge in life, but I do take to heart. I am one of those people from time to time. Okay, so I have a neurotic tendency to replay every conversation I have, like, oh my gosh, why did I say that? But that aside, I am one of those people who's like, okay, I think about, okay, if I do this now, how will, especially like raising kids and stuff like that, how will they see that when they're grown? Is this going to be something that they look back on and think, wow, why was she always doing that? Why wasn't she more present? That kind of thing. So I do think about that. So I don't know if this particular movie or book played any role in that, but it is something that when I'm watching the movies, I do think, oh my goodness, I really hope that I'm having a positive impact. Even when I'm stressed out about things, I hope that, especially with my kids or with my family, that if there's any joy in whatever I'm doing, that shows, because I don't want to be that person at the end of their life who's like by themselves. you know, because nobody can stand to be around them. You know, if you're by yourself because that's just the circumstances, they turn out that way, that's there's nothing you can do about that. But if it's because I've driven people away, that's not something I would want by the time I am a Scrooge age, which is probably feels like it might be fast approaching.
I don't drive my friends away or like good people away. It's just people
there
who
you go.
You're
good, Ben.
The people I clean up after on a daily basis.
There you go. Those people, they can be driven away. You don't want to.
I just had a thought. There is one flaw with the entire story.
It might have been a dream.
Oh, well, yeah, there's that. But also, let's say it wasn't a dream and stuff like that. Why Scrooge? Because he already had 3 times the length of chain that Marley had. And Marley, I'm assuming, isn't owed a favor by anyone and stuff. So, and why would he, out of the goodness of his heart, do anything? Like, what sparked it? Why is he given a chance? You know.
I mean, that kind of makes sense. He was friends with Scrooge as much as Scrooge could have friends. It seemed like they were both friendly to each other, at least, or good business partners. And so it's, hey, I'm suffering. I don't want you to end up like me. Yeah,
but why would any higher being or whatever allow and be like, yeah, sure, you can go save your friend, even though you're SOL. You can go save your friend, like, and allow that to happen, because it's not just Marley doing it to warn him, but also enlisting the help of 3 other ghosts.
Yes.
Maybe it was all a ploy to save Tiny Tim.
Yeah, maybe it was to save Tiny Tim.
Oh, one of those things where it's like we think Scrooge is the center character, but it's Tiny Tim all along, because I love that thought. Okay.
Tiny Tim was the motivation. They see what's going to come. And so maybe in some sort of remorse, they feel like we can change the trajectory for this one child. And so you got all the other spirits would be in agreement, because maybe it's not necessarily to save Scrooge. This is very interesting. Somebody should write that story.
I'm sure one of those.
Oh, I'm sure one of these adaptations.
If there's a zombie apocalypse one, then
yeah.
Excellent. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. We're going to remind you that next month, December, we are going to do our 2-year wrap up. Do we have a date for that? I thought we did.
It says December 2nd on the screen. Did we change?
Oh, no.
That's Monday.
No, that's December 2-year wrap up.
Oh, God. I'm like, December 2nd, sure.
I'm like, December 2nd, that's really fast.
I was like, man, we got like 2 weeks, then go.
We should probably, this is where commas and extra dashes and extra separations would probably come in handy. So yes, it's December space 2-year wrap up and ranking. I think we picked
looking
the weekend between. Did we pick the weekend between Christmas and New Year's?
I want to say we did. I gotta grab my planner.
Oh yeah, it looks like the 29th. You're right. I see it written down.
Oh, sweet.
Does that still work for you all?
Yep, that's what I got written down too.
That still works for me. Yes.
Okay. All right, all set. You heard it here first, folks. We finally got our dates together.
So we guys will see you back here on December 29th. We will be wrapping up our 2 years here doing scripting the book, finding out where we stand, and then you guys can come join us and let us know if you agree with where we stand, and we'll let you know if our feelings have changed. The thing that might come up on top, we might all be like, what, that? Really?
It makes sense. I've done the math. It's surprising, but it will make sense.
I can't wait to see what it is. All right. Thank you guys so much for coming to hang out with us. You guys want to do a quick outro, let everybody know where you'll be at next, and then we'll say goodbye.
I'm Natalie Locke. I will be on an Inimitable Books stream on 26 November for releasing of reach for releasing 1,000 words to get started, a writing prompt book that is travel size. I've written 16 prompts out of here already, because I can't wait till the release date. And I'll be there on the 26th. Otherwise, follow me on Instagram, and I will always be posting things of writing or really just whatever just suits my fancy. I don't really have a theme. I guess my theme is me. It centers around me, which it gives me one step closer to Scrooge.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, and I'm Ben Pick. For the near future, for at least the next 6 months, you can find me every Monday night at 6 p.m. Eastern time, and we can write together.
Excellent. And you're here on my channel. Thank you guys for joining me. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm also on Twitch. We can do some writing together as well. And that's us. So guys, we're going to wave and say goodbye. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.